Welcome back. Reigniting the debate on triple talaq, the Allahabad High Court in India observed its judicial conscience was disturbed by the practice. It called it a monstrosity. However, this is not the final word, as the Supreme Court is hearing a number of petitions on triple talaq. Watch this report.
Practice of triple talaq is cruel and contrary to the teachings of the Quran. The Allahabad High Court has ruled, adding that the Constitution is supreme over the personal laws of any community. The court ruling said, and I quote, "Instant divorce is a cruel and most demeaning form of divorce. Women cannot remain at the mercy of a patriarchal setup held under the clutches of sundry clerics having their own interpretation of the Holy Quran. Personal laws cannot claim supremacy over the rights granted to individuals by the Constitution." The court dismissed as popular fallacy the view that the Muslim husband enjoys arbitrary unilateral power to inflict divorce. The Allahabad High Court has ruled, adding that the Constitution is supreme over the personal laws of any community. The Supreme Court is hearing a clutch of cases filed by Muslim women alleging divorce through Facebook, Skype and even WhatsApp. Bureau Report, WION.
And earlier I spoke to the member of the Muslim Law Board, Mr. Jilani, and I started by asking him, sir, what do you think as far as these observations are concerned? Essentially what the judge had tried to say is that the personal law is less superior than the rights enshrined in the Constitution.
This is not the Allahabad High Court judgment which is binding. It is an arbiter dicta. An arbiter dicta is not binding upon anyone. It is an observation of the judge beyond the scope of the case. The case was different. He has given his personal observations. So the value which can be attached to the personal observations of a judge are different than the value which can be attached to a judgment which is binding upon the parties. And some judgments are in judgment in rem. This is not that. I say that the controversy involved was different.
So what do you have to say about the observations of the judge then? I'm asking you specifically, the judge has called it the Allahabad High Court has observed this is a monstrosity. What do you have to say about the observations of the judge?
See, I am not supposed to make any comment upon the judge's observation, whatever may be his feelings. I am supposed to comment upon the judgment. Judgment is only in respect of that prayer which was sought in the petition. So, and moreover, the judge himself, I am told that he himself observed that this issue is pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. Therefore, I will not make any comment.
Well, they didn't make a comment on the case in that sense, but did sort of speak about personal law and how this infringes on the rights of Muslim women. I'd like to now ask you, sir, what do you have to say about the fact that this is even in Pakistan, there's a liberal sense of how this is applied, and triple talaq, just like that, you say talaq thrice and it's done, is not acceptable even in Pakistan?
First of all, we do not follow Pakistan in any manner. And we are not saying that Pakistan, if it has framed any law, it is according to Sharia, because there most of the time country has been governed by dictators. And so far as India is concerned, we have here more renowned ulamas than Pakistan. And we are following the law as laid down from the Prophet's time. So we feel that the law which is the law of Sharia, which is ordained and which is derived from Quran and Hadith, and then interpreted by the Aimmas, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, and Imam Malik.
All right, sir. If you say that, I'm sure if there are certain better things about Pakistan, we can certainly pick those up from them as well. I'd like to now ask you, would you at least say that this, the provision in the Personal Law Board, this triple talaq, is misused? It's not being used well, it's not being practiced well by most Muslim men.
Yes, it is being misused most of the time. But the law cannot be changed on account of it being misused. Even our Constitution, Article 356 and Article 352 have been misused. Article 356 is being misused daily, more than 200 times. And even in the present year, the Supreme Court has also held twice. But that can you say that Article 356 should be abrogated or should be should be deleted from the constitution. So misuse of a law.
So you're saying it's misuse, then what's the remedy? How should this be solved? How should the rights of Muslim women be protected?
No, we do not agree with it. Islam is a religion which has come through Quran, and Quran as interpreted by Prophet Muhammad Sahib, then subsequently by the caliphs and then by Imams. That is the law governing our personal life. This is personal life, personal law. So we do not agree with you that such laws can be changed. Laws which are derived from Quran and Hadith, they cannot be changed, is our personal view. And Constitution of India also has protected them.
So then how do we protect the rights, sir? That was the question. I'd like you to answer it, please.
We are doing for that. We know misuse can be rectified through reform. We are propagating for that, and we are doing our best that such misuse should be minimized. Such misuse may not be totally done away with, but it should be minimized. We are making every effort because we know that the rights given to women in Islam are not less than any other rights of any other community's women.
All right, there. That was Mr. Jilani saying that the Personal Law Board's provision of triple talaq, which he says is according to the Sharia, is misused, but there's really not much being done. And he says reforms are the answer, but what those reforms are few and far in between. And he says it cannot be completely, the misuse cannot completely be nullified. It will be misused, but that's okay. Let me go to my colleague Taha Siddiqui. He joins us from Islamabad. Taha, give us a sense of how it works in Pakistan. Is there triple talaq there? Is it banned? How it works? I believe we've lost Taha Siddiqui. I'm going to go to him in just a bit. Misbah Kamal, Dr. Misbah Kamal is on the phone line with us. Mr. Kamal, give us a sense of how it works in Bangladesh. Do you have triple talaq? Is it banned? How does divorce work in Bangladesh? Dr. Kamal.
Bangladesh is not governed by the Sharia law. Bangladesh is governed by the constitution. And this, primitive system of tin talaq is not in practice in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, we are the Muslim Family Laws Ordinance 1961 is the guiding principle and or the law, and also we have this, for execution of the divorce proceedings is governed by the Family Courts Ordinance of 1985, and we also have this Muslim Marriages and Divorces Registration Act 1974. So these three laws together, guides this whole marriage and divorce.
Hear me, I've heard you, sir. You're saying that there is no triple talaq practice in Bangladesh. Thanks very much for sharing that with us. Now, that's quite surprising there that it's not in Bangladesh, but it is here in India. Let me go to Zakia Soman. Ma'am, you heard what Mr. Jilani, the member of the Muslim Personal Law Board, had to say. You heard what Dr. Kamal from Bangladesh has said. I want to get your perspective now. Mr. Jilani there very clearly says, we've got our own interpretation of the Sharia and that's how it's going to be. There will be no changes. Ms. Soman, I'd like to ask you again if you'd like to respond to what Mr. Jilani said. He essentially said that they've got their own interpretation. It seems we've lost that connection as well. I'm going to go back to Dr. Kamal. Dr. Kamal, we were talking about how there is no Sharia in Bangladesh and hence the practice of the triple talaq is not there. What do you make of the fact that in India under the personal law, Muslim men can still just say talaq thrice and then that's it for the woman?
Well, this is very unfortunate that India still has this tin talaq system. And also, this is affecting the lives of the women. And also it is, I understand that it leads to child marriage and the abandonment in India. And the women's life is being guided by this so-called personal law, and it is very much, discriminatory. In Bangladesh, let me tell you that, in Bangladesh, after pronouncing talaq in any form, the chairman of the local council has to be notified in writing, and the wife has to be given a copy of that. And if anyone contravenes that, then a jail sentence of up to 1 year or fine up to 10,000 taka is imposed.
Right.
And then again...
Right, so let me go to my other guest, Zakir Soman. I'm sorry I've had to interrupt you, but we're running out of time and I want that perspective. Ms. Soman, you heard what the member of the Muslim Law Board had to say. You heard, I guess, from Bangladesh. I want to get your perspective. Mr. Jilani says it is misused, but this is the interpretation and that's how it's going to be.
I would speak on behalf of the Muslim women. And it's very obvious that triple talaq is not Quranic, it's not constitutional, and it's high time that it is abolished in our country. Islam gave equal rights to women 1400 years ago, and it is 70 years to India's independence, and still practices such as triple talaq, halala are prevalent in our society. So this is a gross violation of the Quranic as well as the constitutional injunctions of gender justice. And the Muslim women are seeking a redressal, and the courts, we are very hopeful that the courts will come to our help and this injustice will be put to an end.
So the courts are standing by you, ma'am, but what about the politicians? I mean, there's still no consensus. We all know what had happened in 1985, and I'll talk about that. What would you ask the politicians, ma'am?
See, I would say that the political parties should stay away from this issue. It is the constitutional obligation of all elected representatives of all those who are in the government to enable gender justice. And they should just do that. They should not make statements one way or the other, because that is giving the much needed pretext to the patriarchs in our community.
Right, ma'am, I'm sorry I'd have to...
That is being led by the Muslim women.
Right, ma'am, I'm sorry I have to cut you short, completely ran out of time. Just to remind our viewers, in 1985, a case that shook India was of Mohammad Khan versus Shah Bano. Zia Modi, an eminent lawyer, wrote a book, and here's an excerpt from her chapter on this case. She said the circumstances of the case, the manner in which the court formulated its verdict, and the publicity that it received altered the communal climate in India for all time to come. And though the case was a watershed in the protection of women's rights in a largely chauvinistic nation, it also showed how the judgments of courts, which in fact intended to resolve conflicts, can often transform into sources of conflict themselves. And that is a serious thing that our politicians and our courts would have to think about. The rights of Muslim women is something they'll continue to fight for. Thanks for watching. You can catch the updates on our website.